I stopped about 7-8 years ago, but still actively involved.
Alright.
Trying to keep fit and do other things, but you reach a certain point, the recovery
It's more difficult.
It's harder than the fun you get.
Yeah. I know that. I know how that is for sure. So that's definitely what I call it.
You had a good show last week. It was listening to you, Marvio, and
Dimitri, yes. Try to dabble it. Don't want to go too deep into the political thing.
No, of course, yeah.
You don't want to stay sports, but it impacts everything.
It's important,
So,
the decisions are taken from the top.
All right. So we can talk about your career. You were the chairman of St. Martin Cricket for a number of years. I think you led the revival of cricket.
Yeah, I started the foundation.
Okay. All right, pleasant good morning, radio listeners. Pleasant good morning, radio listeners. We're on. Sports Forum is on December 16th in the year 2023. Ooh, 9 days away from Christmas. I hope you guys are getting ready. St. Martin in general is in the mood, getting in the mood. We have Christmas in the park. We have Christmas on the boardwalk. So there are a lot of Christmas activities to attend in the coming days. Let me start off as usual by saying pleasant good morning to all my listeners, family, friends, constant listeners, those who tune into Sports Forum. As usual, we have another interesting program for you this morning, touching on another area of sports this morning. After a long time, we're going to have someone in this morning. We're talking about cricket, and we have a gentleman here, a philanthropist, self-made entrepreneur, recipient of a royal decoration for his work in sports education. So without further ado, let me introduce my guest this morning is former chairman of the St. Martin Cricket Association, or founder and former chairman of the St. Martin Cricket. Still chairman of the St. Martin Cricket.
I used to be president as well. Now I'm chairman.
So if you recognize the voice, it's none other than Mr. Imran McSood Amajad. Mr. McSood, welcome to the program and thank you for being with us this morning. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. I'm doing very well, thank you. Yeah, doing pretty good.
I see you're still you're sporting the Leeward Islands Hurricanes jersey.
Yes. Today, I'm sporting this. I thought Casey Carty would have joined us. He is in the Leeward Islands Hurricanes.
Yeah,
as well as two other players from St. Martiners. So, I thought let me at least support the guys. Put on my Hurricane shirt. West Indies playing this afternoon, so I'll be back to watch it. And we are leading 2-0, so...
All right. Yeah, we've been trying to get Casey Carty, but he had other commitments this morning.
Yeah,
so
right.
We want to shout out to him and, of course, congratulate him. He had an outstanding game the last...
Fantastic. He won the one-day series, basically. That was the third and final game, and it was 1-1. So, going in there and winning that, and he batted exceptionally well. We were very proud from St. Martin, the St. Martin boy doing the job.
I read somewhere that it was your dream, I think back in 2014 or earlier than that, to have a player from St. Martin play on the West Indies cricket team.
Yes, year 2000, I said that by 2014 we should have somebody playing for St. Martin at the representative West Indies cricket. And actually Casey did that, but we also had Daniel Doram, who played for Holland,
for the Netherlands,
against Ireland, and in fact did extremely well. But he wanted to play for the West Indies, so he came back home, and he's trying very hard, and I think he'll make it.
Okay, so why the choice? Because, for example, let me ask you that, because you're into cricket. Yeah. Why Casey Carty is playing for the West Indies and not for the Netherlands? Because
many years ago, when we founded the association, we had a choice to either play as an independent, body on the ICC, but then we will end up getting more financial support from ICC, but we would have less opportunity for our players to make it at the real international level.
Okay.
So the first move was to get us to be members of Leeward Islands, and from being members of Leeward Islands, we will be automatically members of West Indies cricket, and that means our players can play for the West Indies. It doesn't mean that the players cannot still play for Holland.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
All right. So they can still be selected to play
for Holland if they choose to. Yes.
All right. Great. Now you mentioned to me that you were the founder of the St. Martin Cricket Association. What year was that founded?
1994.
1994. Yeah. So cricket had been dormant up until that time?
Well, we were playing, but I came here the end of 1981. In fact, next Monday would be exactly 43 years since I came to St. Martin. 43 years, and there was cricket being played but not organized.
Okay.
So when I came, I thought that there was some talent. I wanted to develop the sport, so we started playing. We used to play Carrigalumba Ballpark, where we still play, and then we were developing a pretty good team, and I thought that we should have a foundation. We should organize.
You can remember
matches.
some of the players that played back in those days.
Oh yes, most of them.
They're still around.
Yes, oh yeah, a lot of them still around. Some have passed away.
Okay.
Yeah, several have passed away actually.
Who were some of the top players back in that period?
We had in terms of bowling, we had a guy by the name of Friedrich Leibbird. He was an extremely good fast bowler. We had our current umpire, chairman of our umpire association, Stapleton.
Oh, Mr. Spooney. Yeah?
Spooney,
Okay.
he was playing in those days. Jeffers was playing. Gilbert, Huggins. The list is
The list is long.
The list is long.
The list is long. Well,
Yeah.
it's always good to remember some of the. Well, I see Spooney's still around because he's part of the Empire's core.
Yeah,
and but the other players they have moved on. You mentioned some has passed away. They're still involved in the sport, or is it completely now a new?
Several still are involved. You go like tomorrow. I mean, we have like one of the players there, a guy we call Joey. Joey's still around. We still do commentaries. Casey Carty, father Keith Carty, he's still around. We'll do commentaries. Donna, the lady, she's a commentator. She's there. She will be commentating tomorrow.
Okay.
So it's a nice, lively, I would say, very Caribbean atmosphere at the ballpark, and we try to keep it that way. People will be walking around selling nuts and cakes and a real Caribbean style.
Caribbean style, old time.
Yeah, that's right. We like it that way very much.
Now, when you indicated when you started the association, you had a vision to bring cricket, to a certain level. Are you contented now with the advancement that cricket has made? Because Casey Carty is a star with the West Indies.
Well, there were several accolades we have achieved. For example, St. Kitts is still to produce a West Indies player after they've been playing for 100 years,
Seriously?
So,
yes. Wow.
So we've done that. I mean, that is no disregard to St. Kitts. They produce fantastic cricketers. Nevis have produced some West Indies cricketers, but not St. Kitts. And there was one or two from Montserrat, a couple from Anguilla. We have Omari Banks and Jamar Hamilton, who's now still playing. So, but a lot of the guys from Anguilla play more cricket actually in St. Martin, in a good period of time. Jamar Hamilton, for example, played for the Nagico team.
Okay.
So, I mean, they're from Anguilla, they represent Anguilla, but they play a lot of their cricket here.
In St. Martin.
Yeah, that's right. For a long time, Anguilla cricket was on the back foot, for a little while. They still play. But this year, we've had a nice tournament in Anguilla, which I helped to sponsor, and it was a really good event. So it's growing over there, and good plans. But I did have, yes, to answer your question, I did have the dream that we will develop something, we will develop some talent. We were interrupted because we started the association in '94, then we were interrupted
By
in
Lewis.
'95 by Lewis. So we moved our game, we created with a lot of self-support, a makeshift pitch in the dump, which is now really a complete dump.
Yeah.
But in those days...
Hopefully it'll be cleaned up soon.
Hopefully. But in those days we cleared it off and we had a pitch and we would play, sometimes we play football, but we play cricket, we roll it, we play it. And so we continued the game. And then for a short time we also played at Raoul Illage with matting. So because we couldn't lay a pitch, that would have affected football.
The football,
Because
yeah.
the pitch would have to be dirt, and if rain drizzle, then footballers can slip and fall, and it's
Correct.
It wouldn't. It was so we used to use a matting there, so a square just like a pitch, and we put it down, and we played there for a little while until it was a lot of work to get back the Card Lumber Ballpark.
Because I think they placed temporary housing there.
That's
or
right.
something.
They had huge temporary housing there, and just to remove them, just to remove the foundation was so much concrete.
Wow.
And so we had people. The government did help at the time, and to truck the things out. But we had to do a lot of self-help work. We would go there every Saturday and Sunday,
And just
50
work
of
on it.
us, and with spade and shovel and wheelbarrow and clear the place, pile it up and create back the pitch. And if you go there now, a lot of people come and look at that field. If you go there tomorrow and you see it beautiful, green, lush, and a nice pitch, you'll be very surprised that we keep it so well.
So a lot of hard work and dedication went
Yes.
into that.
Yes.
Radio listeners, if you just joined us, of course, you're in tune to Sports Forum on PJD2102.7 FM and 1300 AM. We're streaming live also on Facebook. If you want to tune in from that angle, we're speaking this morning to Mr. Imran McSood Amajad, former chairman or current chairman of the St. Martin Cricket Association. And of course, we all know him for his philanthropy and sponsorship. You mentioned he sponsored a tournament in Anguilla. You're known on St. Martin in the sporting area for sponsorship. What's the philosophy behind that? Because, it's not much companies that you see have such a dedication towards sponsoring events, sports. But when anything you look at, Nagico, Motor World, your companies are always sponsorship. Is there a particular philosophy behind that?
Well, I suppose it has a lot to do with how you grow up, And I grew up in a village, a small village, where the main thing was cricket, football, and if rain fall, dominoes, right? so I'm an ardent domino player. Nowadays, the guys complain that I go to watch cricket, but I'm playing more dominoes.
Oh.
But anyway, so sports has been always there, I guess, in us. There wasn't much else to do. We, in most of the Caribbean islands, some of the Caribbean islands would play baseball. But we didn't have that much going for us going back 100+ years ago. And most Caribbean islands, their form of entertainment was to get together in weekends, either in a picnic and play sport, and I love it. It's a great thing to keep people together. I'm a Caribbean man, heart and soul, and I like all things Caribbean. So. It's why I would always, no matter what people say, sponsor Calypso every year. And keep Carnival every year, sponsor it, because it's our culture, it's what we have. And if we don't protect what we have, who will, right? So cricket was a pride and passion of at least the English-speaking Caribbean people. In the same way, like in the Dominican Republic, people have pride and passion in Curacao and Aruba as well for baseball, you know.
Definitely.
And we have produced good baseball players here, the Andrew Jones and Sammy Sosa of the world, for example. I mean, I am an ardent follower of baseball too. I sponsor, you know, so many baseball teams here over the past. Nagico Braves is a champion team. The Nagico Jets, the ladies team, is a champion team.
In softball.
But to answer your question, it's what we have in the Caribbean is our sports, you know, and what keeps us going. And I've always been passionate about it. So I sponsor almost anything to do with sports. Even RC racing with Reggie Coram, we sponsor it. RC cars. It's sports to keep young kids happy, you get people together, and I like it. Boxing, anything.
Anything is
Yeah,
fun.
that's right. Yeah.
But cricket is your main passion, and you said dominoes now. So, so that's fantastic. But let's go back a bit to when you started. How is it possible? Because we see, for example, with Ritchie Singh, he has been awarded the Pelican Brown Award, and he's coached a lot
Also awarded in the Leeward Islands.
in the Leeward Islands.
As a top coach,
Okay.
recognized,
I didn't know that. But that's great to know. We have often been trying to get him on the program, but he's always busy to come in.
Yeah.
So maybe this would prompt him to come in and sit down and talk a bit.
He was
So
supposed to come today with me, but he's busy preparing the pitch, and as tomorrow is a big day.
all right, and tomorrow, you mentioned tomorrow, but we got to talk about that briefly. But when you guys started, because I read somewhere that you were a player with Nagico together with Keith Carty, who's the father
That's
of
right,
Casey.
yeah, right.
And so the vision, how has it been possible for cricket to start from the period that you started, where there was unorganized cricket, to today, where you see you have the Nathan Edwards, you have the Casey Carty, the Daniel Durham you mentioned, and the
We have
Tyreka Nori, and a lot of young
so-
talent
I'm
breaking into
impressed.
the
You know
Leeward
them.
Islands.
I'm impressed. You know them. Very, very impressive.
Yeah, I
we
follow-
have
I
a
try to
young guy named Shamiko, right? That guy, Shamiko Gomes, I think is his last name. That guy is so talented. He's still young. He's just about 17, 18, but he went against Barbados early in the year, and Barbados is one of the better teams in the region.
Yeah.
And in one match took 5 wickets to something with sheer pace.
Wow.
Yeah, he's like about 6'5" tall, maybe 6'4", and really ferociously fast. So I think there's a big future. Whether they keep it going, it's another thing, because that is the hard part, to keep the youths focused on the
And
sport,
involved.
because they end up maybe with a girlfriend or
So much
with another friend,
distractions.
I like your word. I prefer your word. End up with so much distraction. We had another young fellow, a guy named Antonio Fernandez there, that he was so good, and Shaquille Martina. Those
Yes.
guys, we thought they would make it to the West Indies. I don't know, they probably lost interest. As you say, they got distracted, but they had so much talent. So
I think Shaquille left for
studies.
college.
Yeah, well, he was actually sponsored by the West Indies to go to college. So I'm hoping that he will come. He's still a young man, so you never know. But we have some real good, talented people, and it is a challenge to keep them focused, right, on the sport. But we are getting it. We are, and kudos to Ritchie Singh.
But- He's really doing a fantastic job at coaching and getting the youngsters in. So, indeed, it has been cricket, unlike a lot of the other sports, has not been able to put out so much talent on a regional and now Casey Carty on an international level. What's the formula behind that? Because that was a question that I asked. Is there a particular program that you guys embarked on targeting the youth?
So in 1998, amidst all the hurricanes that we've had, because we had 6 from 95 to 99.
You can remember all of it.
Oh yes. I paid a lot of money.
I could imagine.
I paid a lot of money
I
in
can imagine.
insurance claims, and don't even talk about Irma. You know, but you know, amidst all the hurricanes, we still have a society to run. We still have youths to we have to look after. We have to mold and do something. So whilst we were at Raoul Village and preparing to come back after we fixed the pitch at Carib Lumber, the idea came to start a coaching program.
Okay.
So, which is what I wanted to do actually since '94, but because of the hurricanes back to back, it was delayed. So in '94 we started with the cricket coaching. I had a guy named Leonard McRae that used to work with me, and you know, he had played for Guyana, and I knew him from there, and he started working with me and playing cricket here, and he became our chief coach, and he had assistants from Keith Carty and a guy named Johnny Passad. Right?
Okay.
So they formulated the team that produced some really good players, you know. Sherwin Peters, for example, who will be playing tomorrow, right? So he has a team, and Kenroy David, who will be playing tomorrow. Those guys made it to the Leeward Islands.
And came through that program.
Yeah, and Sherwin Williams have scored centuries for Leeward Islands, and he was one that we thought would have made it all the way to West Indies. But it's not easy to get into the West Indies. You're talking about millions of people in the Caribbean, you know, 30 plus islands,
and you
could only pick 14, right?
And you're going up against bigger countries like.
And you go to bigger countries. So, but Sherwin is still a pretty good cricketer and still plays well. And but so I mean, and these guys are born and raised here, and they love the sport. So, you know, we thought we got to get these youths involved, and through them we have produced some pretty good players who have made Colin Hamer, and so who have made it to Leeward Islands as well, you know. So we have produced quite a lot for a small island, I believe.
All right.
And coaching is important.
Coaching is
And then we took it to the school. So at one time, Keith Carty would actually go to the school, and we engaged some of the teachers, like Corin Saunders, right? He's also a member
I know
of the
that
board.
name, yeah.
Yeah, Corin Saunders, and there was a guy named Dharamraj Sami, that teacher Sami, that, you know, helped with the coaching as well. And Macri will go to the schools, and we will see talent, and we'll encourage them to come to the field, because unlike other sports, cricket, well, like most big team sports, but cricket in particular need a pitch.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, you need a pitch to really play. So
you can't really do it easy around the school.
Right.
All right. Now tomorrow you guys are having the 4th annual Imran McSood and Ritchie Singh T20 Cup tournament. Tell us a bit about the history of that because this is the 4th annual. So how did it come about?
Well, we thought that Ritchie Singh has done so much for the youths, you know, coaching the young people, and he spent day and night doing this, I would say, because I'm sure at night he's still thinking about it, right? And the thought came, let us do something in his honor. We also have in February every year now have the Leonard McRae and Raghubeer tournament. So we kind of try to recognize some of the people who have contributed
to the sport,
but in particular to youth development. My focus is primarily, you know, doing something for the youth, people, rewarding people who are focused on the youth. And I do have in mind, for example, to start to do another event during the year, you know, of Keith Carty, who also, not just because he's the father of Casey, but because he still coaches the youths.
Up until
up to today. Wow. So you know, we're doing the best we can, I think, to keep the youths focused on the sport.
Now, what are some of the teams who will be participating in this T20 Cup?
Okay, so for tomorrow, primarily we have in the first game would be two teams that that always come out with great passion to play the sport, win or lose. And that's one that's a Motor World, right, team, which of course we sponsor as well. And they come out, they just to enjoy cricket.
Okay.
You know. And then you have the Kaichor team who also comes out just to enjoy cricket. I mean, they don't win a lot of tournaments. They don't even get the finals of tournaments. Once in a while they do get there, you know.
But they're there.
But they're there, and they're passionate about it. So we have them. And then in the afternoon, we'll have the Sherwin Peters 11 versus the Kenroy David 11. And that will feature some of our top guns, including Casey. So he'll be here. He's on the island and he'll be playing tomorrow.
So which team will Casey be playing for? Will he be playing for Kenroy David or Sherwin Peters?
To be honest, I don't know. I've left that to the administrators.
Okay.
So I don't know which team he will be playing for. Casey, Kenroy and Sherwin actually play for the same team. So tomorrow, which is the Spartans, that's the winning team. And they're all product of our youth development, which we call, and we still call, the youth team the Future Champs, right? So they used to be members of the Future Champs, they still play for the Spartans, but tomorrow they go against each other in a selection. And the organizers determine the teams, who's to play for who.
So, besides Casey Carty, any other top talents that came in from other islands, maybe to play?
No,
because I know sometimes players come in from
sometimes
St.
we
Kitts,
do that, but tomorrow, no. We are concentrating this entirely here and showcasing our people here. So I expect quite a few of the Top Guns, the Dorams, the Edwards, and so on to be there. Although in January, so this might be our probably last chance to see Nathan Edwards locally for a while, because I don't know if you know, but we are very happy to announce that he leaves in January for South Africa.
South Africa? Yeah. He was in Pakistan before.
That's right. But he's now leaving in January for South Africa. Playing West Indies under 19 cricket. So he is a real talent.
So congratulations.
I had a chat with the president during the president of Cricket West Indies this week, and he thought he's such a young, vibrant, determined young man. We all feel he'll go very far. But they're getting a chance, to see the world, our players. Casey has been to India, Pakistan, South Africa. It's apart from the fact that they can make a living out of this. Several of them are playing for the Leeward Island Hurricanes, and they get paid to do this.
Okay.
Right? Casey was doing it for a while. Daniel is now part of that team. Nathan is part of the Leewards as well. But they get an opportunity to play representative cricket. But what an opportunity to see the world playing a sport you love. There's more in life than just the money, I believe.
Definitely. South Africa, that should be an interesting...
Very interesting, right? And they're good cricketers.
Yeah.
They're very good cricketers. So he will come up against some stiff talent.
All right, radio listeners, you're in tune to Sports Forum on PJD2102.7 FM and 1300 AM, streaming on Facebook Live. And this morning we have the pleasure and honor of having in the studios with us this gentleman. He just mentioned his love and dedication for sports, and we all know him as one of the top sponsors. former cricket player himself. If you would characterize your play in cricket, I don't know cricket very well, but you were bowler, batsman. What was really your strength?
I was an all-rounder.
All-rounder?
But I was I would say mostly a bowling all-rounder.
Okay.
Although I have been known to really take bowling apart as a batsman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been to lots of places, and people are surprised that I was a pretty good batsman. But I was more a bowling all-rounder, and I explain it this way: because of business and other professional duties, I don't have time to go to practice
a lot
every afternoon. A good batsman require a lot more practice than a bowler.
Okay.
Because, in cricket, well, in a lot of sports, one error and you're done, right?
Yeah.
So if you make one mistake whilst batting, so you misjudge a ball, you hit it in the air, you're out caught, or you're bowled, or LBW, that's one ball and you cool your heels in the pavilion. If you're a bowler and you bowl one bad ball, the guy could hit it for 4 or 6. But I have the opportunity next ball to get him out.
Okay.
Right? So practicing, you are allowed some mistakes. Bowling, you're not allowed any batting. So I guess I was always a better bowling all-rounder because of other duties, but I would say an all-rounder. But if people ask me what I like to do the most, I actually like the leadership side. I enjoy leading teams, not necessarily as captain on the field, but as a manager, as a backroom coach, and I have the pride to say that I was 4 times either coach or manager for St. Martin team, and all 4 times we went to either the semi-finals or once the finals in Leeward Islands, and that was a lot of people. So to me, leadership matters a lot. I have a cricket chat. I keep telling the guys that you can have enormous talent, all kinds of talent in the world, but if it's not channeled properly and not focused properly, you're not going to be successful at it. So I like that part. I like the part of seeing, organizing things, and seeing people succeed with some guidance from me. I like that. Even professionally, so even in my business world, I take great pride in developing people.
Are you still on I read somewhere that you were appointed as independent director of Cricket West Indies. Are you still in that position?
Yes, I did. I stayed there for 2 years. When the term was up, I was asked to return. I was busy with many things. We were going through several challenges. COVID had just happened, and my several businesses, the insurance business was just recovering from the hurricanes, Irma and Maria, that's in Dominica and Guadeloupe, and so in the south had a lot of damages, and we do business all over the Caribbean, including Martinique and Guadeloupe. So I had to refocus my energy on that because you're just recovering from 2 major hurricanes, and then you get hit with COVID, right? And the challenges for business have been enormous, even in the auto business, because you couldn't get shipments, you couldn't get cars, factories were shut down, and supplies were... So it was a very challenging time, and at the end of the day, if I can't make the business survive, I can't sponsor anything, right? So I had to refocus on that. But I still remain in close touch with, for example, like this week, having a chat with the president of Cricket West Indies. They seek my advice from time to time on various things, and I'm always there to help.
Well, I sense that there's a lot of discontent sometimes with the performance, or comparison with the performance of the Cricket West Indies of the past compared to now, that we're not always satisfied with the direction that it's going. I think I had someone here in the studios, Mr. Elgin. He mentioned that sometimes there are some questions regarding the selectors, whether they're really selecting the right players. How do you feel about that in general?
I think Elvin is right. Right? We could do better, and that's where I say always that leadership matters, and part of leadership is the ability to select the right people for the right job. It's always easy to select or to appoint the most vocal or the most popular, but it's always better to try to appoint the most competent. So sometimes you have to we question a lot with that, but I also want to add that the comparison sometimes might be a little unfair, because the West Indies cricket makeup is a lot more complicated than many parts of the world.
Okay.
In England, you are playing for England and everybody are English, right? For India, you're playing for India and everybody are Indians, and South Africans, and Australians, and Pakistanis, and Sri Lankans, and Bangladeshis, and what have you. In the Caribbean, we are just a hodgepodge of many nations, right? So who are you playing for sometimes is a big thing, Are you playing for Trinidad or for the West Indies, right? So you get that challenge as well, and we must not underestimate that challenge. You get some insularities. You get people that might have preferences for players of a certain country at a time, or appointing people from a certain area per country, and because often it's not unusual for somebody to say, "But we need to have a Trinidadian inside here," or amongst Guyanese. Why aren't they picking the Guyanese, right? Or why aren't they picking the Bajans or the Jamaicans, right? So you get that. And it's challenging. So that is very challenging. Whereas in other countries, now you're picking an Indian team, that's it, right? So in addition to that, there's the financial side. And because we are so many nations, it's difficult to channel funding, right, through to the top, right? You do get it, but the ICC have a rule, and rightfully so, that politics must not interfere with sports, right? So you must not get the countries deciding on sports. It must be an independent body, and it must be run by an independent board. And so on. So that part of it is good. But when you are from England or you are from Australia, everybody channel funding to one country, one board, right? Whereas in the Caribbean, we have a Trinidad board, a Leeward's board, a Barbados board, a Jamaican board, and you have to channel a lot of development through these various boards, territorial boards, before they filter up to the top. And as they say, whatever happens at the top is what eventually trickles down to the bottom. So you get those challenges. So I don't want to say that it's just the inability to have the right selection and all of that. So, but though that is part of it, but what contributes to that, I believe, is the fact that we are so much multiple bodies to make up one body. It becomes difficult.
I recognize the problem from back in the days of the Netherlands Antilles.
There you go.
You would have the same problem with the Netherlands Antilles selections.
Well, if now, I have many chat about that. NOAC is it's very challenging for us to all participate in NOAC, but NOAC is the body that represents us in the Olympics. So it is very challenging. Yes.
Will cricket ever become Olympic sports?
Definitely.
Yeah, I see some calls for it to be included in Los Angeles in Yeah.
But it is now big in the U.S. They have one, like how you have Major League Baseball, it's called Major League Cricket, MLC. And there are people that are being paid $500,000 to play for 3 weeks, right? A massive, and the turnout is massive. Next year, Cricket World Cup will be in the Caribbean. The T20 World Cup will be in the Caribbean. And but it's not just the Caribbean, it's now extended Caribbean and the Americas. So there will be games in New York and Texas. Right? So they're building a stadium right now. A cricket stadium in New York has been contracted to be built in Brooklyn for $1.2 billion.
Wow.
Right? And they're going to be hosting cricket. So cricket is becoming a huge sport in America. Growing rapidly, stands are packed, and people are being paid a lot of money because, of course, you get good television rights and so on. But the Major League Cricket started earlier this year. It was played in Texas and California, and it was massive.
Oh. Yeah. Well, Brooklyn is a hot spot for West Indians, so I can imagine that cricket is going to be popular there. You mentioned stadium. Are there any plans to get a full-fledged cricket stadium on St. Martin?
It's difficult. I've had some challenges with that over the years. It is difficult. St. Martin, unfortunately, does not have an abundance of flat land. We may have land, but flat land is not so easy to come by. The one where we are now, there's a challenge because there are roads planned close by it, and you need the land space, because we used to play, if you recall, we used to play regional cricket here. We used to have, Brian Lara played here.
Yes,
and so on. So all the top stars came and played here in St. Martin, but because of the terrorism and all of these things, ICC developed a strict policy after the Sri Lankan team was bombs injured some of them. The ICC developed strict policy that ICC registered teams must play in cricket facilities that have security. So you have to have, where the bus can't come in right by the ground. You have to they come a certain area, there's security arrangements there. And to do that will require a lot of land. Curriculum is probably too small for it, but I think we can, if we do get possession of Caribbean Lumber Cricket Ground, we probably can still host regional games once we can put overhead lights and do certain things. But these things call for money, and government is always strapped for money in sports, as Dimitri and Marvio told you last week. And you can't put all the burden on private enterprise either. So you need small island states need governmental support, because they're not enough private sponsorships available. How many people like me are there that was willing to put tens of thousands into sports.
Now let's talk about sports in general, and before we go over, we close off. We're coming down on time. What's your vision for sports on St. Martin? Because you invest a lot. You mentioned you invest a lot of money in sports, but are you happy with the progress that other sports are making while you continue to support them? And what would you necessarily like to see different?
Well, to be honest, I think there is a lot more to be done here for sports. I think that there is, and it has to come from the top, I believe. It has to come from a concerted effort from the top. Now, we have a sports federation. How effective it is, I am unable to judge, but I can't look around and say that we are any better than the days when I was actively involved in sports. I was asked this question about 3 weeks ago by somebody, And I would say St. Martin's Sports was better when I was actively involved in sports years ago. I remember, for example, boxing with Bobby Utley, right? I used to sponsor a lot of sports with Bobby and Jacinth LaBega, and we had great boxing here. We used to have boxing even in La Savane on the French side, and here in the auditorium, guys like Yopi Williams, Gilbert Bopatui, and so would come about and help coach people in boxing. Those are, and it was a passionate sport. Even baseball, the days, guys like Frankie Myers and so on, or, you know, Hyacinth Richardson, they were passionately involved in baseball and producing a lot of good baseball, Dimitri and so on, and good baseball players. We still have the talent, I think. I'm a little, I would express disappointment in the overall energy that is in the sports arena. Judo, I know Achwell Bell tried, I sponsored judo, even the judo tournament. Swimming, I sponsored many swimming events here. Even the one where our team went to Dominican Republic for training, you know, I was a key sponsor for that. But they're still taking place. But it's hard to say that we have a passionate and a real following in swimming or judo or even, well, baseball probably have some good potential, and cricket, but even baseball, I think, is struggling. Basketball, I mean, when I was part of the very active in basketball in the old days, I mean, Nagico had probably the best teams around, the Nagico Magic and Nagico Flyers. These were champion teams.
Marty Williams.
Like, Marty Williams, Mark Edwards, Lenny Marlin, Spiderman. I mean, you name them, you know.
It's amazing you still remember those names.
Of course. Look, when it comes to local and Caribbean thing, I know it inside out because I am passionate about my region and where I am, right? So, to me, the basketball was so much more passionate in those days. And the people are trying, you know, Alex Ferdinand and these guys are trying, Mavio and Cooks and them, they're trying, I think. The actual molding, though, into a real hard-driving, focused, energetic body in each category of sport, I think it was better in the past than it is now, you know. So and maybe I'm getting old and I'm missing things, because there's a time when I used to go to all the basketball games, baseball games, softball games, and I don't do too much of that. So maybe I'm missing something, but I follow the news.
I think that's a general
I listened to you, for example, speaking to Dimitri and Mavio last week, because I'm interested in sports. I turn on the radio to listen to you, right? Because I'm interested in sports, but I don't get the feeling that there is a passionate interest and energy and a real sporting momentum on the island.
You see that because the St. Martin Sports Federation that you mentioned, for example, I know there's an effort now to revamp that board, but I think for 2023 there has been quite dormant, so a lot of initiatives from the top has been lacking indeed. Before we close off, let's go back to remind us again about the action that is going on this weekend, tomorrow, at the Caribbean Lombard Ballpark, the T20 Cup. Tell us a bit again about the Kaitura. Who are some of the players that play on that team? Because I know you know.
Well, there are some guys. I think Sherwin Noble used to play for it. You have Ritchie used to play. Ritchie Singh used to play for that team.
Is he going to be playing tomorrow?
No, I think he coaches mostly. Well, maybe he does. I'm not sure. But I doubt it. I don't see him playing much
anymore.
These days. But I have some decent players that are still around. We have a couple of guys from among the Indian merchants that are from India that play for that team, and they're a very good.
I think I see them practicing.
Yeah, they're very good players. They're very good players.
Okay.
So yes, they do go to Little League here.
They practice over
the night sometimes. Yeah, so there are a few of them from there, and the Motor World team have some pretty good players as well. So it will be very good. But the real big game will be in the afternoon there, and there will be a lot of food. There will be a lot of snacks. There will be drinks, of course. There will be music. Hopefully, not too much. The neighbors complain. So
it's getting we're building up
right.
now. It's very difficult to.
But it's going to be it's a real family affair. It's a nice event. The atmosphere there is very good. If your head is full with a lot of worries and a lot of what's going on around the world, come to the cricket ground, relax in the stands, and really enjoy a real
good high level cricket.
Yes.
Is it going to be streamed international so that no, it's not.
No, it's a pure local
tournament.
Yes. We're just doing it here for the fun of it.
So tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, as you just heard from Mr. Imran McSood at the Caribbean Lumber Ballpark, you're gonna have the Kaitora CC going up against the Motor World cricket team. That is gonna start at 9:30, and then the main event starts at 1 p.m. Ken Ride David X1. What should we understand with the X1?
It means 11.
11. Oh,
11 players. Yeah.
Okay, because Ken Ride David 11 and Sherwin Peters 11 is going to be going up against each other.
Only 11 can play.
Only 11 can play. I'm not good at cricket.
It's all right.
And if you want to see Casey Carty, West Indies batsman, play, he's going to be playing, as well as Leeward Islands Hurricane player Daniel Doran. They're going to be participating in that game. So you got to make your way down to the Caribbean Lumber Ballpark to watch some lovely cricket action tomorrow. Tomorrow's Sunday, all day. Mr. McSood, before we close off, let me give you a chance for your final words. You could send us out in a good inspirational way, because I know you're a man of substance with a lot of good inspiration for. So give us some inspiration words to close off for today.
Well, I would say investment in sports is an investment in youth, and it's an investment in happiness. Sport is a form of happiness. People even stay in their living room and can feel happy just watching sport, whether it's LeBron James playing or it is Casey Carty on the cricket field tomorrow, right? Sports brings happiness. And I want to encourage everybody to engage in sports. I want to encourage government to engage in sports. I want to engage civil society and encourage civil society to engage in sports. Encourage everybody to follow it, to come out and support it. Think of it as a human development and part of life. Because to me, life is not as exciting without sports. Right? That's all I would say.
All right. So, radio listeners, we want to thank Mr. McSood for being with us here this morning, and wish the teams tomorrow much success in the 4th annual Imran McSood and Ritchie Singh T20 Cup. And hopefully after that, maybe next week we could get. When Casey's leaving, he's going to be leaving back to.
Well, they have different training programs. I'm sure he wouldn't hang around. He might remain until after Christmas.
Okay.
And then he'll be gone again.
So hopefully we can get maybe him and Ritchie Singh in to talk some more cricket, because we have not been. This is maybe only the second program we did on cricket. So we have to increase, of course. So you have a lot of greetings coming out from a lot of people online. Just some shout out from Super Dave. pleasant good morning to you. Wishing you also, Mr. McSood, good morning.
Super Dave, that's my
Super
boy,
Dave,
man. My
and
boy.
Arundel.
Those were the days, Super Dave, boy. Those were the days.
Malika Boot from Netball.
Oh,
She's, of
Malika,
course,
yeah,
thanking
that's
you
right,
for your
yeah,
support.
She also, yes, Malika with netball. Like I said, I sponsored everything.
Hey, special thanks to Yis Kosringa for putting this together from the sports department. And that's what we had for you this week. Shout out to everyone and thank you for joining us. Until next week, join us again for another interesting program on Sports Forum. The last program, that's maybe the last program before Christmas. So next week, Saturday, join us again. I'm Antonio Venturing bidding you ciao for now. Until next week.